You did? Okay.
Literally on Wall Street, but yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
Hi, how are you? Nice to see you again. Thanks for coming. Yeah. One of them's in jail.
One will sit down.
Hopefully tomorrow, maybe the planner might meet with us. They were doing the table.
That would be good. Secretary of the Regional Trust. Between those two, the brings you concerned about
I think we're ready. Would everybody please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of the regular meetings on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and by providing a copy of the annual notice of the regular meetings for the year 2016 to the Glen Ridge paper, the Glen Ridge Voice, the Montclair Times, and to the Star Ledger on Tuesday, January 5th, 2016, and by filing said notice in the office of the municipal clerk. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilperson Hughes.
Aye.
Sovich.
Here?
Lefkowitz.
Here.
Dawson.
Here.
Murphy.
Here.
Morrow.
Here.
Mayor Patrick is present. So Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Michael. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for the April 25th meeting?
So moved.
I second. Thank you, David. Any comments on those minutes? Okay. Michael, are there any written communications?
Just a follow vote. Councilperson
I'm
Hughes.
sorry.
Aye.
Sovich.
Aye.
Lefkowitz.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion is passed.
Thank you.
In general correspondence, we have 2 notices from the county executive. One is that there's going to be a computer and electronics recycling day Saturday, May 21st at the Public Works facility on 125 Fairview Avenue in Cedar Grove. The borough will also have a computer electronics recycling day on May 14th. We have one the second Saturday of each month at the Public Works area at 122 Carteret Street. And then on June 18th at the same location, the county will be sponsoring Used Tire Recycling Day. And that concludes correspondence for the evening.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to suspend the order of business to welcome Essex County Surrogate Theodore Stevens. Good to see you again.
Mayor, nice to meet you, and members of council, good to see you as well. Council and clerk also, it's always a pleasure. As you know, I made it a point to come to each municipality at least once a year to give them an update, give you an update as to what the Surrogates Court does. Soon after I became surrogate 5 short years ago, that it became clear that most people don't know what the surrogate does. And it's obviously not self-explanatory by our name. In fact, one of my colleagues, one of my actually predecessors had mentioned to me, he said that, Ted, you have the best job in the county, because nobody knows what you do. But rather than remain anonymous, I thought it was really incumbent to come out and let people know, because the things that go on in the surrogates court really are matters that affect the public greatly, and that affect everyone who comes through our doors. Comes through with some trepidation, if not anxiety, because of course there's the main situation where there's the loss of a loved one, and we handle the estate there, whether of a will or if there is no will in a intestate matter. But even in the matters of a guardianship, which of course is also somewhat traumatic for the family, and unfortunately, fortunately, can be avoided in many instances if you have a simple power of attorney, but in some instances not. And with older Americans, I guess, growing older more and more, the need for guardianship has increased greatly. And to that end, the Supreme Court has recognized that. And Chief Justice Rabner took it upon himself to work with the court in order to engage the public in what's called a guardianship monitoring program. So it's a new volunteer program that the Superior Court administers. And basically we're looking for volunteers, and I know this is a community that prides itself on your great volunteerism, but we're looking for volunteers to come into the surrogates court at whatever time they can give, to review guardianship files, the files of people who have been already adjudicated incompetent where a guardian has been appointed. Because every guardian, of course, has duties to report on a 90-day and an annual basis what's happening with the assets of the guardian. And of course, there have been a couple of situations where some unscrupulous lawyers in South Jersey, I'm happy to say, not in North Jersey, had absconded with millions of dollars of their assets, of their clients' assets. So the Chief Justice said, we got to find out whether or not this is an anomaly or whether or not there's more that meets the eye. So we found out, fortunately, I'm happy to report that the initial reports show that there is compliance most of the time. I haven't seen any real egregious examples like that. But still, we're going to look. So we're looking for volunteers. We give them the files. They go through a training program first, and the only requirement really is that they have some computer literacy, because it's input into a program, and of course then that's going to be evaluated down the line. So we'd love to have the Glen Ridge residents get involved with our program. So it's called the Guardianship Monitoring Program, and they can get information on my website, which is www.essexsurrogate.com, or of course by calling my office, or else calling the Superior Court. So that's something that I promised the Chief Justice when I go around I would help to tout this program. And when you make a promise to the Chief Justice, you can imagine, you got to keep that one. So, but the other thing we're doing, we try to do a couple things, and I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but since I became surrogate, we wanted to do some things to enhance the level of service. The website I mentioned, we made that much more robust, and it's actually, you have the opportunity, and council may know, that you can now download forms from our website, fill them out in advance of going to the surrogates court in order to give people a head start, to get the information they need, and save some time when they do come in. Also, to deal with the time aspect, because we know that everybody can't get to the Hall of Records before 4:30 when we close, so we are offering extended hours. And on the second and fourth Wednesday of every month, we're open until 6:30 on an appointment basis. So individuals can come in, they don't have to take time off their regular work, or their attorney can finish their regular court load and then come in. And then there's the one added advantage, probably the biggest advantage why we've been successful. It's the only time you can get free parking in the city of Newark, because the employee lot is open, and so that the citizens take advantage of that. So that's been a success. And then last week, we just opened up our first satellite office. And I'm going to leave the copies of a joint press release that was issued from me and the county executive, where it's going to be at the Turtleback Zoo. There's a county office there. And on an appointment basis, we're going to do it once a month right now to see how it takes hold. But you're going to be able to be seen there, and we've got the IT worked out so that the case can be input there, and it'll be logged into our mainframe down to the Hall of Records. Because everybody just can't come to the Hall of Records. It's too far for some. Some individuals just don't have the get up and go that far. And anything we can do to help people get their estate handled in a timely manner, we want to do. So I'm going to leave that information, if I can, Mr. Mayor, with your staff here, and please feel free to let your constituents know about that as well. So we're happy we made some good moves so far. We've got a couple of other things we're trying to do. It's a tremendous staff that I inherited, and I think we're doing good work for the citizens of Essex. So,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Any questions? I'd be happy to answer them. If not,
Just one quick question. Have you seen response to your call for volunteers?
yes. The program's ongoing. But of course, volunteers, they drop off or they do other things from time to time. Maybe, I don't know if the ticket had been sold in Essex County, I might say they won the lottery and they no longer have time to volunteer, but that was Mercer County. But, so we're always looking for good volunteers.
And Mayor, I think I had said this last year when Stevens was here. I have always found his staff to be very knowledgeable and, more importantly, very compassionate. And I think that the staff tries very, very hard to put people at ease, because as you mentioned, oftentimes when people do come down, it's under circumstances where they've recently lost a loved one and they're upset. And I think the staff does everything that the staff can do to put everyone at rest as best they can.
Well, I appreciate that, Council, and that's what they strive to do that even before I got there. We lost our most senior person, Doris Guy, who had to retire after 50 years of service to the County of Essex, so I couldn't begrudge her for leaving after that. Now, the most experienced person now is our Chief Court Clerk, a newly appointed one. I was able to get her promoted, and she's been with the county for 35 years. And so, anyway, so it's been good. It's a great experienced staff. And let me just point out that everybody comes to our doors, even though, of course, those who have a lost one and those with guardianship, and even an adoption is a situation where the person has that last key to cross or that I to dot before they're able to get in front of a judge. And the adoption itself is something that the council knows every lawyer should do an adoption, because it's the only day that everybody in the courtroom is happy, including the judge, and that doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
But it's a great day. And getting to that point, they still have hurdles to overcome. So everybody who comes in needs a little TLC, and our staff does provide that.
I suggested they ought to put the motor vehicle under your jurisdiction if everybody's so nice.
So far I've been able to do all of this without asking for more money, but I'm afraid I have to ask for a budget increase on that one now. That's the hard.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Always good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is the time for comments of the public, if anybody wishes to be heard.
Hi, good evening. I'm Christina Gabriel, 14 North Place. I actually wasn't planning on saying anything this evening, but since I'm the only person here, we could keep it brief at 3 minutes. Wanted to check in, obviously, about the progress with the hospital development. We had read online that that was the purpose of tonight's meeting, which is why we wanted to come. Is that
No,
not
that
correct?
needs to be held at the Montclair Firehouse in Square, Montclair, which is Wednesday night.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, since I'm here tonight, just in the spirit of, keeping the dialogue open and working together and making sure that, we're looking at this from all angles and that everyone's needs are met, I just wanted to let you know that we are, still very focused on the issue of safety. I don't know if everybody saw the accident that happened by Orange Road just 5 seconds over the Glen Ridge border tonight. I know you did because you're all over Facebook. But it happened at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. A car was going over the speed limit, single car accident, and slipped. So it's a street that's actually a little bit wider than Laurel Place. So these things happen. We're always looking at safety. People just tend to drive too fast around here, and that's just what it is. I think in looking back, we started on this journey almost a year ago, last June. And I think we didn't realize quite what would be involved in asking you to look at our street in partnership. We realized that negotiations with the hospital are coming up, and our hope is in those negotiations we could ask for something to protect our street. that would be hopefully at the cost to the hospital. 10 years ago, when Hathaway Place was closed down, it was offered for Laurel Place to be closed down and for that bill to be footed by the hospital. The residents at that time, unfortunately, declined. That was during the last expansion. So now we're coming up on another round of expansion, and we look at, the scope of that expansion, and I, know that there is a traffic study that was just taking place in Mr. Rohal. Is there another traffic study specifically going to take place on Laurel Place?
That's correct, as we have mentioned in previous meetings. Right now, we're finishing up the study at Walnut, Crescent, and Bay.
Right.
And then counters will be eventually to Laurel Hall because of the winter weather.
Right.
All our traffic studies
Is that going to happen before the school year is over?
Yes, it will.
Okay, great. Because I think that's
Yeah, 'cause we
important in
want-
looking at the scope.
Yeah, because we had the weather storms, and then after that, we had the school vacation, which pushed all our traffic studies back. So
Okay,
we should have the counters available within a week.
Great. So, we certainly don't want to be a thorn in anyone's side and repeat the same thing over and over. This is just really important to us, obviously, just based on what we see on the street. We have 2 special needs children who live on this street. We have a ton of young kids. It's a very narrow street. So based on what we see, we think there's a real cause for safety. I appreciate in seeing some of you who have taken the time to drive down the street recently, and some members of the planning board recently as well, just to get a visual on what it really looks like. And when a car comes down that street at 45 miles an hour, which happens every day, what risk we are really taking on. So in looking at the traffic study, I also want to implore you to think about, it's not just what the traffic is today, it's what will it be when that parking structure is built, and the number of cars and the volume we can project. So I know that there's a cost associated to everything, and I'm sensitive to that, but I'm hoping that we can look at a projection in what future state will look like, so we can try to get in front of it before it's too late and the chance for negotiation with the development is over. So I appreciate you listening to us time and time again, and taking an earnest interest in the safety of our kids and everyone in the town, because we're all in this together. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have no comments this evening, except to just note that we finally opened the stairway at the railroad station, so hopefully people will
Should
get
have
around
gotten you
and see
involved
that-
in it.
What?
We should have gotten you over there 3 or 4 months ago.
At any rate, that's good. So, Peter, you got a report this evening?
Thank you, Mayor. I have no formal report tonight, but I do have a couple of resolutions. I have Resolution 7116, be it resolved that the following claims be approved and warrants be drawn for the same. Current fund, $3.2 million. General Capital Fund, $46,319. Water Fund, $67,000. Pool operating, $8,392. Pool Capital, $4,600. General Trust Fund, $3,806. Payroll Agency, $134,662, and the Dog License Animal Control Fund, $322. And be it resolved that the Chief Financial Officer, Treasurer of the Borough of Glen Ridge is hereby authorized to issue the payroll for the employees of the Borough of Glen Ridge for the pay date of May 9, 2016. Mayor, I move the resolution.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments on the resolution? Will you please call the roll?
Councilperson Hughes.
Aye.
DeSoto.
Aye.
Lethbridge.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow. 6 ayes, no nays. The resolution is approved.
And Mayor, I have a second resolution, number 7216. I'm going to read it just very briefly, okay? Whereas the local municipal budget for the year 2016 was approved on the 28th day of March 2016, and whereas the public hearing on the budget has been held as advertised, and whereas it is desired to amend said budget now, therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Borough of Glen Ridge, County of Essex, that the following additional amendments to the budget of 2016 be made. In summary, Mayor, from $13,621,553 to $13,639,463.35. And be it further resolved that 2 certified copies of this resolution be filed in the office of the Director, and further be resolved that this complete amendment, in accordance with NJS 40A4-9, be published in the Glen Ridge paper issue of May 19, 2016, and that sub-publication contain notice of public hearing on said amendment to be held at the municipal building on May 24, 2016 at 7:30 p.m. Mayor, I move the resolution.
Thank you.
Second
Do I have a
motion.
second? Thank you, Paul.
Sorry, can I just interject a clarifying question? It says in here that the budget was approved on the 28th of March.
If I
Wasn't it
may.
actually introduced?
No, but I was just going to comment on it. Based on the language we get from the division, introduction is approval. Its adoption will be the
Okay.
acceptance. So when we say introduction, adoption, in the state's vocabulary, it's approved and then adoption. So it's approved just for submittal. Basically, it's approved for submittal to the division for their review. So
Okay.
it is confusing. We have this every year, Councilperson.
Would you call the roll, please?
Councilperson Hughes,
Aye.
Lesovich,
Aye.
Lethwich,
Aye.
Dawson,
Aye.
Murphy,
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. The resolution is approved.
Thank you. Paul?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Public Safety, I just have one announcement I'd like to make today, is that Lieutenant Sean Quinn is being promoted to captain in our police department, effective June 1. It's a well-deserved promotion, and we're all excited about that. And at the same time, Acting Lieutenant Tim Ferranda is being promoted to full lieutenant status as of June 1. Change in our department. We still have our great chief.
Captain Quinn has a nice ring to it.
That's great. Thanks, Paul. David?
Mr. Mayor, I have no formal report this evening, but I would just like to observe that on the weekend we had a couple of really great events. I enjoyed the Arts Festival and the Eco Fair. The weather was much nicer than I thought it was just going to rain all day, so it was nicer than I expected. In addition to which, we had a very nice Arbor Day ceremony down in the Glen, so there are several brand new elm trees down there, courtesy of the Reverend David Stinson and Rotary, and so it was a great day to be out in Glen Ridge.
Great. Art?
I have a brief report about the activities of Public Works. Parks crew is continuing to prepare and maintain our athletic fields as per our busy spring schedule. Crews have started making preparations for the opening of the community pool this summer. Much of last week was raining and our roads crew was out cleaning catch basins to help minimize any roadway flooding. Majority of the work for the 2016 spring tree planting project is complete. Prior to the planting, trees were inspected by the borough forester and tagged with the name of the species and care instructions. Upon planting, gator bags, that's a green bag that you put water in, it trickles water into the root ball over time, were installed on the trees, and the homeowners where the trees were located also received a letter on how to care for their new trees. Few trees had to be moved to new locations due to conflicts with the underground utilities. To date now, over 550 trees have been planted, bringing us closer to the goal of planting 1,000 trees. The Glen Ridge Arts Festival and Eco Fair were completed, it was this weekend. The rain stopped just in time for the start of the events, as David observed. Thanks to the Glen Ridge Rotary, 6 new disease-resistant elm trees were planted in the Glen for the fair. Additionally, Boy Scout Troop 55 was out installing tree collars on the 200 trees planted last year. That's a plastic sleeve that goes around the base of the tree and protects them from the weed whackers. So hopefully because we did lose some trees where they basically got cut up all the way around, and then the tree doesn't make it after the bark is destroyed. So thanks to all the coordinators and the volunteers, Public Works and Public Safety staff, we had a great event this past weekend. That concludes my report.
Great. Dan?
Mr. Mayor, I don't have a formal report, just a couple of comments. regarding the planned renovation of Carteret Park, which will begin within a week or so, scheduled for May 15th on or about. Also would like to encourage residents who would like to take a cool dip in our community pool that the registration is now open. We're encouraging residents to take advantage of our beautiful community pool and to register. You can do that online or at the train station. And also registration for the Rec Summer Day Camp for residents ages 5 through 12 is now open. And registration can also be done online or at the recreation office, which is at the Glen train station.
Very good.
That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, Dan.
Sounds like summer's coming soon.
Yeah, Dan, I took a tour on Saturday afternoon. I guess everybody was housebound with that rain for the last week or so, but all the playground sets throughout the town were really busy Saturday afternoon. And it was nice to see, all the way from Carteret to even by the Linden Avenue School and Clay Field.
Clay Field's new, all new
Yeah,
as of last
it is,
year.
and they're really being utilized. So
Yeah, it's
nice
going to be
see.
nice to. The one at Carteret is over 20 years old.
Right.
A lot of it is broken down, needs to be repaired. And thankfully, we have it in our budget to replace it. And
Sure.
add swings, and everybody's very excited about the swings.
Yeah, but the way it's set back there too, though, with the tree cover and the trees blooming, it looks quite nice. And it's nice to see it really busy. So that's.
Emery?
Yes, just briefly, to follow up on Christina's point, Wednesday, May 11th at 7:30 at the Montclair Fire Hall is the joint meeting of Glen Ridge and Montclair Planning Board. H2M will be there to present the updated redevelopment plan, which incorporates comments from both boards. The plans are available on the website if you want to see the hard copy, which is easier. They are in Town Hall. The idea, or I guess the objective, would be at the conclusion of that meeting, there will be public comment, H2M public comment, and planning board comment. And the goal would be that at the end of that meeting, either if there's further comment to the plan, or each planning board would then go off and make a recommendation to approve the plan. At that point, it goes back to council. There'll be further presentation by H2M and public hearing. That's the timeline as we know it.
Yes. So how does it work in terms of whatever the requests from Glen Ridge are to put into the plan? Because the last time we presented to the planning board, there was a little bit of confusion of like whose jurisdiction did it fit in to make these kinds of requests or make anything happen, whether it was regarding our street or anything else. And the planning board thing was this isn't even within the jurisdiction.
That was with respect to the cul-de-sac.
Okay.
Separated apart from any site plan.
But hypothetically, to make a request like that, just
Okay, and one other item, the planning boards in both municipalities make a recommendation to respective councils. The council approves through an ordinance the redevelopment plan. So it's not approved at the planning board level, it's approved at the council level.
okay.
So there'll be advertised, as we do with every ordinance, there'll be a public hearing, and then the council will vote on the plan. So the actions at the planning board doesn't mean that it's set in stone when they make their recommendations. Once again, it's up to the council to approve the final redevelopment plan.
So voicing our concerns to you is adequate in terms of how that would be addressed in the pipeline.
Mike, I don't think that that's fair, because if I understand your question, the question is when would the request be made, if one was going to be made, for a cul-de-sac,
or for
right?
something.
And I don't think it's fair for you to leave here thinking that you can come to a public hearing and expect that this council is at that time going to say, oh yeah, let's put in a cul-de-sac, right?
No, that was fair. No, that was the request was made at the planning board level already, and there's always a right to request it at the public hearing. It doesn't mean that we're going in the plan, but all I was saying is that the plan is finalized by the council, not the planning board. It's recommended by the planning board,
Right.
but the actual approval lies with this body.
Right.
So I just want to go on the record to say the request has been made to the planning board, to the council, and powers that be. And I realize, just
recognizing, I think the word has been extreme, it's been used, this is an extreme remedy in looking at the situation. I'm hoping once we can look at the projection of what traffic may be, it doesn't sound so extreme, but if there are other things that can be done, when do we get into the conversation around what could be negotiated?
Now, particularly, there's a redevelopment plan and a redevelopment agreement, but,
Look, I mean, just from where I sit, it would seem that what we're going to be voting on is going to be what was hammered out in the joint meetings of the two planning boards over the last year or so, right? And I don't believe that they were hammering out whether or not there was going to include or not include a cul-de-sac on your street, right?
Right.
And personally, again, only speaking personally, I would want to see the data that we're going to be collecting over the next. So it almost seems to me that they're somewhat separate decisions that are going to be made. Mayor, would you agree with that?
I agree with it. I mean, as we've said before, there are many moving parts to this thing. Number one, we have to see what the impact of anything we do on Laurel will be on all the other streets.
Absolutely.
We certainly, as we made clear the last time we were here, we're not going to do a doggone thing if this redevelopment doesn't go through.
Correct.
There's nothing to do. We may have to now consider what the impact might be if from this builder's remedy action in Baldwin, what that might mean as far as bringing traffic in.
Mm-hmm.
We have to look at whether there are alternatives to putting a cul-de-sac in there, like no right turns, no left turns, et cetera, et cetera. So there are so many things that we want to look at, and as I think Paul and Anne Marie made clear, the first thing that they want to see done is the new traffic study. And when we get that done, you will know exactly what that traffic study is showing up. But that's only step one.
Absolutely, I get it, and I understand there are a lot of moving parts, and I appreciate you breaking it down for me. I think this has been going on for so long, I think it's hard to gauge, not where the finish line is, but where's the almost finish line, like when is it game time? You know what I mean? And I think that's what I'm just trying to get an understanding of, because at that planning board meeting, there was some pushback in, hey, this isn't our problem.
Well, that was, I think, the narrow issue of, can we have a cul-de-sac now? And I think the planning board felt, well, with jurisdiction on that issue is not with the planning board. So I think that was part of that discussion.
And things have gotten a little haywire in some of the various discussions, but I think we're all playing the long game here and looking at what's in the best interest of obviously our street and the surrounding area. And again, I just hope we're going to look at, with this traffic study, projected traffic impact. So anyway, thanks for explaining that to me, and I appreciate it.
I don't want you to leave here, though, thinking that we're going to be negotiating with the hospital, like in the next couple of weeks, about putting a cul-de-sac on the block. That's not going to be the case, because what we're looking for, the next step is this study, and then we'll analyze that, and we'll analyze all these other factors that the mayor talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the game plan, at least from my perspective, is not that this body will be negotiating anytime in the near future with the hospital about, well, you're going to get this and we're going to get a cul-de-sac there. That's not. If we do a cul-de-sac, ultimately, that probably will simply be a decision made by this body, because for public safety purposes, it should be done. But
and then there's no fiscal responsibility on the part of the hospital to get in on that. Then
I don't see that as being a case right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly don't see that being something that we're going to negotiate with the hospital about now, because we don't know whether or not we even want that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay?
Got it. I think that Hathaway was a little bit different, my understanding, simply because at that point, the expansion of that.
Well, I would see you on that thing. The reason Hathaway was made a cul-de-sac is he didn't have the proper separation distance between Hathaway and the driveway to the ambulatory area. So that was a necessity from a traffic safety perspective. We had to close that off in order to make that drop-off work. So that was the really the impetus towards Hathaway.
Yes, the difference between that.
It was a matter of
And then the CEO of the hospital actually had a residence on Hathaway, I think, during that time.
Well, I think the hospital only owned it. No, during that time, that was not, Merritt didn't own that, or LHB. That was actually owned by Atlantic Health at that
Mhm.
time.
Okay.
And that went to court and actually was remanded back by the judge to approve the plan. So that was probably a 2-year process. The borough took the hospital to court. It was unsuccessful, and it was returned with stipulations when the judge on what was to occur there. But they only built the house at the time, but I know the CEO from Atlantic Health did not reside there. I think John Fulton did it. That was years later after, that was in 2007.
Right.
And this expansion was approved in 1997, 1998 for the Harris Pavilion. And what we're going to do too, just on the traffic perspective, we're not sure what improvements as of yet are going to occur at the office building site. In the redevelopment plan, it just states levels of service.
Mm-hmm.
So how they're going to achieve it, we don't know, and we really can't project traffic impact until we know what the solution is going to be at Long and Crescent and that whole area.
Because that huge parking structure is not a foregone conclusion. Is that
Pardon?
what you're telling me? That the parking structure is not a foregone
There's
conclusion.
going to be no
in
parking.
number-
There's no
Or,
parking
excuse me, the
structure.
office building with the, 80 medical offices.
Well, we're going to see if they're proposing at the site plan level, the number, if it's 1 or 2 traffic lights, how they're going to regulate traffic, and then from there you could expand the impact. But until we know exactly what improvements we're going to make at the office building site itself, it's hard to gauge impact.
Yeah, and you mean improvements at the site
Itself.
as affecting traffic with the
Correct.
2 new, there's at least 1, maybe 2 new red lights proposed, right, Mike?
There's at least one, and then our big thing now is pondering is how to handle the traffic at Long and Crescent. And because anybody who's been on that road knows it's a really difficult one when you're coming from Long and Crescent to turn onto that.
Very, very confusing.
Yeah,
So we're trying to
there's a lot going on, and it is confusing. Am I flawed in my thinking in looking at those 80 medical offices and looking at the number of appointments they could book in a given day and the number of people who would be coming in and out to those appointments?
No,
That's like
That's going to be
2,000.
at the next phase when we go through the
Okay.
site plan, is when we have a traffic study and an impact plan. And that's the time we'll be able to gauge based on our uses and our projections. So at this stage, it's not quantitative, it's qualitative.
Correct.
So,
It totally is.
so we can't really, instead of the site plan, it goes from a qualitative document into a
But
quantitative.
it's going to get quantitative with that.
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry. I
Yes.
appreciate it.
It's all
It's
good.
a process.
Yeah.
It's all good. Yeah.
Okay, comments of the administrator?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, with you. Just to note that the council meeting is scheduled for Monday, May 23rd. It's rescheduled for May 24th. The borough, along with the Kiwanis Club and Rotary Club, is hosting a celebration of volunteers in Paris, on which we're going to honor former mayor, now councilperson Peter Hughes. Okay. Also at the 24th meeting, we hope to have the adoption of the budget. So we have the approved budget referring to the adopted budget.
Thank you for that
You
clarification.
know, everyone-
This is the really adopted budget.
We had a discussion on
Yeah,
it today, and we
yeah,
clearly
Yeah,
something.
with amendments, like I said, approved for submittal to the division. I wish they could use introduction and make it a lot easier. And then also, we should have a resolution that night for the regrading project at Carter Rec. We're opening up bids on Friday. If they're within budget, we're going to have a resolution to start that project. So that's going to be very time sensitive, so we need to move on to that project. That concludes my remarks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mike.
7316.
John?
Mayor, I have no report.
Chief?
Mr. Mayor, we did have a successful,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We didn't do this, 7316.
No, that's what
No, no.
That's new business.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
We're both on.
we did have a successful Take Back the Drugs Day on Saturday, April 30th. Detective Medico worked during the day shift and did fill up the entire bin. We bring it up to the police academy, and as they said at the last council meeting, our plans are to have a permanent bin at our location at the police department, hopefully in the next 6 months. Also, just to remind all residents that we are experiencing some burglary activity again on High Street. We're having a neighborhood watch meeting this Thursday night, May 12th, at a location on High Street for all residents. They'll all get a notice in their door no later than tonight to try to bring the whole neighborhood together so that we can give them some advice on crime prevention and also keep them abreast of exactly what's happening. But we did have another middle-of-the-night burglary last night that was, again, called in by the resident, and at this point, we're doing exactly what we did last week. Back into the area with not only officers, but all of the technology we have and some assistance from other jurisdictions.
I think one thing that I keep seeing is just a vast number of garages invaded and bikes stolen. I mean, I just can't believe that people just are locking their garages at this point.
I think there's always this sense of security when you live in the borough of Glen Ridge, and we try to, at least on a weekly basis, just remind people that a lot of this is crimes of opportunity, and if you can keep your homes, your windows, your garages, and your vehicles locked, not that in the hours of the evening, that doesn't mean that people aren't passing through looking, but there's not a lot of people looking to make noise, so it really is, quite a bit of it's just a crime of opportunity. And of course, anybody that sees anything that at all is out of the ordinary, barking dogs in the middle of the night, or a big signal to somebody from the neighborhood, to not at all hesitate to call 911, even if they don't see something, if they just hear something. Just so breaking glass and dogs are two big ones at unusual times, so that we could get officers into the area that they're calling from.
Yeah, Chief, I would add one thing. The break-in of about a week or 10 days ago, due to excellent police work, one of the perpetrators was arrested. There were 2 people involved, and one was arrested in short time later by our police.
That is correct.
And that perpetrator is in jail.
He is. He's still currently incarcerated down at Essex. We have reason to believe that this is the second subject that was with him 2 weeks ago tomorrow. And unfortunately, burglars are recidivists, like many types of crimes, and they will keep returning even to the same area. They quite often have the same MO, the way they always enter a house. If they're a window guy, I hate to say guy, but most burglars are male in gender. And if they're, a door guy or a ladder person, that's their MO. So right now, we're definitely looking for a window guy. And hopefully, again, we did well at the scene as well as we did last time. We try to gather everything that we can so that we can work on it, not just from a search aspect, but also from an evidence point of view. So.
Michael, do we have any new or unfinished business?
Yes, we have a resolution for appointment that's going to be offered by Councilperson Lefkowitz.
Yes, I've got Resolution 73-16, resolved that the mayor's appointment of Gene Keogh to serve on the Lackawanna Coalition be approved and confirmed. I just want to comment, first of all, as a reminder, the Lackawanna Coalition is a transit advocacy group that's based in Morristown, and their objective is to uphold the level of service for New Jersey transit commuters, and to try to fight against schedule cutbacks and that sort of thing. And Gene Keogh is a longtime resident of Glen Ridge. He's been the Assistant General Counsel of Coty, the cosmetic company, for 16, 17 years, something like that, and is a commuter. So I think he will ably represent us on this coalition.
No, I think it's very important because, as I understand it, the NJT only covers about half its operating budget from its rail operations and from its leasing. So there's a great inclination on their part to cut service if they can, and try to cut areas where they don't feel they're making enough money. So I think that hopefully this coalition will go beyond just looking at schedules and start getting more proactive in their communities about putting pressure on their legislators to do something about the Transportation Trust Fund. That has got to be built up.
Yeah, that's
and I talked to Gene about talking to the others about whether or not that might not be a way to push out a little bit more and get more involved in that sort of communications with their own public and their own constituents. So it's got to, but that's why I think you have to be vigilant. And we have, I think, probably one of the busiest, if not the busiest station on the whole Montclair Boone line. So we really can't afford to lose any of our schedule. So I think I'm very happy to have Gene accept this appointment. So, can I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Paul. Will you call the roll and include me in it, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Councilperson Hughes?
Aye.
Palovich.
Aye.
Lefkowitz.
Aye.
Dawson.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
Mayor Patrick.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, the resolution is approved.
Thank you, Michael. All right, we're, again, at the point of the meeting for the last comments of the public. Would anybody like to speak? Seeing none. David, do you have any motion for us?
Well, in that case, Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn this meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting's adjourned.
In case you need to stay.
Michael, when did you get a strip?
I'll send it to you. Okay, great, thank you.
David, you're not gonna let me down, are you?
No.
Good.